Aloha, and welcome to another exciting episode of Mr. Mendo's Hack Attack. I'm, of course, your fantabulous host, the man who bought Glenn or Glenda in a porno shop, Mr. Mendo.
Pull the string.
Hey kids, do you remember HomestarRunner.com? Do you remember the characters from Homestar Runner? Do you remember Strong Sad? Well, he made a movie apparently. Of course, I'm talking about Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, a movie I tried really hard to like, and might have if the filmmakers weren't constantly trying to prove that they were very much smarter than I was. But before I get busy pissing off the entire internet for a third time, I would just like to point out that in 2004, this movie won an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay, and I believe wholeheartedly that it deserved it. It has a lot of ideas that I like. The screenplay is by Charlie Kaufman, who's famous for creative, inventive scripts like Being John Malkovich and Adaptation. And while we're on the positives, I think this is probably one of Jim Carrey's better serious roles, if only because the only other thriller in his CV is the number 23. The problem with this movie is that these ideas never really go anywhere. After an intriguing first act, the film loses its way. Large stretches of the movie seem improvised, and not in a funny, whose line is it anyway sort of way, but more in a filling up space kind of way.
What should we do?
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
What should we do?
Crap. I don't know. I just said that.
I'm sorry. What should we do?
I don't.
In the movie, Jim Carrey is Joel, a sad sack loser who discovers a procedure that can wipe out his memories of a painful relationship with Kate Winslet. Midway through the process, he changes his mind and spends the rest of the movie running rings around his own subconscious trying to save his memories. With a head-trippy premise like this, you really have to be on your game. See, a lot of this movie takes place inside of a guy's head, which means that there are no rules about what you can and cannot do, meaning that you have to work extra hard to make these scenes have any real dramatic heft. Unfortunately, this is a movie that seems to be above putting, actual effort into story structure. Because if there's one thing that we hate on this show, it's people who just throw shit in at random because they feel like it. Isn't that right, R2? Damn straight. What's worse is that things start getting all meta on us before we even get to the memory removal process. Early on, even the real world is just as weird as Joel's subconscious, and I'm pretty sure the director only did this because he couldn't wait an hour to roll out all of his flashy visual tricks. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should give this movie another chance.
My name's Clementine, by the way.
Swing and a miss. Whatever happened to people in indie films having normal names, like Janine or Brenda or Tyquasia? The film, in a strange twist, presents a short film before the opening credits where Joel ditches work because of a strong compulsion to go to Montauk, and not just to see the Montauk Monster. And like all main characters in Charlie Kaufman films, Joel is an emotionally stunted loser with no idea how to talk to women.
Seeing that I'm incapable of making eye contact with a woman I don't know, why do I fall in love with every woman I see who shows me the least bit of attention?
I don't know, guys. Carrey's 42 here. Isn't he a little old to be playing an emo teenager? He ends up on a train where he and Clementine meet cute, while the movie tries to persuade us that, despite one of them being a grown woman with anime hair, these two are a perfect match.
Agent Orange. I came up with that one. I apply my personality in a paste. Sorry if I came off sort of nuts, so. They're not really. Drink up, young man. I'll make the whole seduction part less repugnant. I'm gonna marry you. I know it.
Okay, between this and the previews, you can pretty much guess that she's going to make Joel's life a living hell. But if you haven't seen this film already, you could probably be forgiven for not realizing that this scene actually takes place at the end of the movie. Yes, it's the precursor to 500 Days of Summer, as our story unfolds out of chronological order to disguise the fact that, well, nothing really happens. And unless your last name is Vonnegut, you really don't have any business pulling this crap. Also, your eyes are not deceiving you. There is no chemistry whatsoever between our two leads. Kate Winslet tries hard and Carrey tries hard, but neither of them is written as likable, and ultimately we never feel any real emotional connection between them, which is not good, because I assume that we're supposed to feel sad about the fact that connection is being erased. But what really fascinates me about the sequence is how long it is. It goes on for almost 20 minutes before the opening credits. What are we playing, Vice? I mean, at this point, you may as well just save the credits for the end. Once the movie proper finally gets underway, we see Jim driving home while sobbing uncontrollably because Clem has dumped him and found someone else.
She's there with this guy, this really young guy, and she looks at me like she doesn't even know who I am.
But David Cross can't take his bellyache anymore and reveals that Clem has had her memories erased. Specifically, she's had her memories of him erased by virtue of a completely made-up medical procedure. And I should know it's bullshit. I saw it on an episode of House once.
And so, Joel has the same procedure done to wipe his own memories of Clem, which involves putting a colander on his head and reliving each memory right before the guy from Zodiac deletes it. But the actual story kicks in when Joel, who's somehow still partially conscious despite being asleep, overhears one of the technicians, played by Elijah Wood, a virtual repeat of his character from Sin City, only with whiny, unbelievable dialogue, say he fell in love with Clem while wiping her memories, and used that knowledge of her relationship with Joel to take his place.
What? Get that look off your face. What's wrong?
Patrick, you stole a girl's panties.
Okay, but why can Joel hear them? I mean, is this a common thing that happens with the procedure? Did something go wrong? I mean, really, they never tell us.
Joel, who has so far done nothing but give us very, very, very good reasons why his life would actually be better without Clem, decides he doesn't want the procedure anymore, but being unable to stop them, instead sets out to hide his memories of Clem in his subconscious. Which is where this turns into a bizarre chase movie that doesn't really make any sense at all other than as a showcase for a few neat visual tricks.
Come on.
Actually, I could almost buy this part, except right around here is where the movie abandons any pretension of being a serious drama and just throws in whatever crap they can to try to salvage some kind of a half-baked stoner film out of all this.
In the absence of a second act, we get really painfully unfunny moments, like here, where Jim Carrey plays Joel as a toddler, complete with oversized furniture. This was a lot funnier when Lily Tomlin did it. And all throughout the memory erasing process, Carrie's been seeing Clem more or less how she is in real life, but once he decides to save her, or rather his memory of her, she turns into this hyper-idealized companion sprite that gets on your nerves faster than that damn thing from Legend of Zelda.
My crotch is still here, just as you remembered it.
And so he drags her with him instead of, I don't know, trying to find a way to wake himself up so he can stop the procedure.
Well, that's working like gangbusters.
He eventually hides her in memories where she doesn't belong, i.e. his childhood. This is where her internal logic gets chucked out the window faster than an episode of Wedding Peach. In some memories she's just there, sometimes she's there as someone who was there in real life,
Who am I?
Mrs. Hamlin.
Right, Mrs. Hamlin.
and in the film's big Nar moment, she's in Joel's childhood as a child herself, even though this makes absolutely no sense.
Really, they're just kind of throwing everything at the wall here. They're more or less trying to distract from the fact this is all just an extended chase sequence.
Kill my dog. I don't think it's fair.
Also, I don't know why the director felt the need to depict certain memories as dark rooms with a flashlight shining in Jim Carrey's face. To me, this screams less, I'm a visionary director, and more, I couldn't afford to hire a key grip.
Of course, with all the attention that I, and by extension the film, place on all this, you could be forgiven for not realizing that this is all actually a subplot.
You see, back in the real world, Elijah has to leave early to tend to Clem, who's feeling disoriented as her memories of Joel still exist on a subconscious level. This leads to her breaking up with him after he quotes one too many memories word for word.
I could die right now, Clem.
I could die right now, Clem.
I've never felt that before.
I've never felt that before. I'm just exactly where I want to be.
I want to go home.
Back at Joel's apartment, Kirsten Dunst shows up, and she and the Zodiac guy get stoned and dance in their underwear for no other reason than to remind us the fact that everyone in this movie is a moron.
But then again, has Kirsten Dunst ever been in a movie where she doesn't dance in her underwear? It's kind of her trademark. That and the Snaggletooth.
While they're goofing off, Joel manages to slip past them. In a panic, they call on their boss, who Dunst is in love with. She even tries quoting poetry to impress him.
Quote goes, "How happy is the blameless vessel's lot, the world forgetting by the world forgot. Eternal sunshine of a spotless mind, each prayer accepted, and each wish resigned."
And there's your title. Don't ask me what nuns and vessels have to do with erasing your memory because your girlfriend was a bitch.
Eventually, it's revealed that Dunst had an affair with her boss, which she doesn't remember because she underwent a memory erasing procedure of her own. That's right, they had an affair, his wife found out, Dunst had her memory erased, and after all that, she's still working for the same guy.
As I said, everyone in this film is a moron.
The doc gets everything under control, and Joel and Clem are cornered in his final remaining memory of her, the day they first met. And honestly, this part is just confusing for the sake of being confusing. They met on the beach and they broke into someone's house? And Clem stayed there that night? You know, I've never thought of breaking and entering on the first date, but it sounds really romantic. As the memory is being erased around him, she slips him a subconscious hint that will allow him to find her again. Which is why he skips work the next day and meets her on the train, as seen at the very beginning of the movie.
This is so dumb that I can't explain how dumb it is by myself. I need help from my fellow reviewers. Guys.
That makes no
sense.
This is a memory of her, not the actual person. How the hell did Clem know where she was going to be? And for that matter, why the hell does real Clem feel the unexplained need to also go to Montauk? Did Carrie leave a subconscious message to her? Did she also have a madcap chase through her own mind that we didn't get to see because, well, she's a manic pixie dream girl with no inner life of her own? Actually, one of the funniest things about the movie is that a lot of people refer to Clem as a deconstruction of the whole manic pixie dream girl cliche.
Too many guys think I'm a concept, or I complete them, or I'm gonna make them alive. I'm just a fucked up girl who's looking for my own peace of mind.
No, you're a magical pixie girl with a slight awareness that you're a magical pixie girl. That's really not all that different.
To wrap things up, Dunst, having decided that the memory erasing service is the work of the devil, breaks into the office, steals all the confidential medical files, and returns them to the patients so they can all be reminded of the painful memories they had erased and have the exact same existential crisis as her. Bitch. Joel and Clem, who magically found each other again, receive their tape-recorded case histories and learn why they broke up. After a few scenes of them awkwardly standing around listening to the tapes, they go their separate ways, only to get back together again mere minutes later, because that's surely going to lead to good things, I guess.
If this movie can be said to be about anything, it's emotional immaturity.
In it, emotionally immature people who can't handle heartbreak hire an emotional immaturity enabling service run by emotionally immature stoners to make it so that they continue being emotionally immature without remembering why emotional immaturity is bad. No surprise then, this film was embraced by emotionally immature film buffs who bully the internet into thinking it's the greatest thing ever when really it's just okay.
But, if you disagree, feel free to erase this video from your memory the same way that I plan to. Just hook up your handy-dandy device to your laptop and drink enough vodka to poison a Ukrainian farmer. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of Mr. Mendo's Hack Attack. Tune in next time when I piss off the entire internet all over again for the very first time. Peace!
I am Governor Jerry Brown. My arm smiles and never frowns.